We are very excited to launch the first annual Oslo Women's Rights Initiative this evening with Women in Charge. The Oslo Women's Rights Initiative is an alliance of individuals and groups who believe that supporting women's rights activists is the most effective way to build lasting, sustainable change in the world.
Women's rights activists have been banned from travel for more than a year now.
I think the important is to see where this resistance comes from. Is it a religious resistance? Is this a cultural resistance? And then try to tackle that issue.
I completely dehumanized Gaddafi's forces. But then one night when I had the time, I reflected on that and I thought, that's not really me. So I thought I would punish myself, and the next morning I went to the attending doctor and I said, I want to volunteer as a nurse for the wounded of Gaddafi's forces. No one volunteers for that from the opposition side. No female nurse would go into the ward. It was protected, guarded, and only doctors would go there. Only doctors who are obliged by their ethical profession to tend to them. No one wanted to tend to them. And I did for 2 weeks. I fed them, cleaned them, took them to the toilet. I never spoke to them. And I always wore my bracelet, which had the opposition flag, to show them exactly who I am. And they never looked me in the eye either during these 2 weeks. But one night, well, it was 6 a.m. in the morning, I was giving a round of antibiotics. And this young man looks at me and he says, "You make me feel inhuman." And I paused because I looked at him for the first time. I looked at one of them in the eye and I realized, and I saw his grief, his bewilderment reflected exactly mine. And I realized that we were both Libyans caught on opposite side of a war that we did not decide, we did not plan, we did not have a say in it. And frankly, at that point, we don't even understand why it started, why there was even a war.
The discourse has spread among even the religious segment of the society, and some religious thinkers within the recent years have clearly spoken and talked about the issue of women's rights in Islam, and many have opposed and objected to the obligatory veiling of women's hair and body in Islam.
It's difficult to say you have to educate the religious leaders, right? Because these men come with the holy power of God at their back, and you come as a woman who's really in a power dynamic as not on the same level at all.
I wanted to ask you how you're using social media in the different countries, if it's difficult or dangerous some places to use it. Could you explain a little bit about that?
People use social media in Iran a lot, even though it is filtered. They find proxy, and we have even one person who is under execution sentence because of the posts, his Facebook posts.
We work a lot underground, and we lie. Like we say, we would have a workshop about women's health and children or something, and then it's about gender equality and how to be a feminist. So we can't say online, oh, we're doing the other thing. So we don't post, and that's also bad, because then the public are saying, where are you and what are you doing, because you're not visible.
Women generally use social media very, very well and do have access to it. In Jordan, there is no problem when you advocate or use or mobilize it through this Facebook or Twitter, issues related to women's rights, discriminatory laws, anything related to the gender-based violence. And this kind of sphere, you would find also the National Commission for Women would be participating, which is part of the government, or some official people joining the campaign. So when it comes purely to women's rights, not related to politics and to issues related to gender-based violence, there is no problem. But in other contexts, as they said, it could be more harsh on women. In Palestine, it could lead to the invasion of your home or the arrestment of women and children.
We have a lot of closed groups, whether it's for our projects or our campaigns or in general, has thousands of women, activists and non-activists. And that group that offers support, like, it's incredibly, incredibly important.
And the interesting point is that even though the government has blocked, for example, Twitter in Iran, the authorities are still using it. And sometimes the hashtags that are trending are being used by the government authorities on the social platform, which is blocked by the government. So it's ironic, but it's there. It's and I think it's a very effective tool.
Many see activism as protests loud, chaotic, but we develop to be strategists, negotiators and mediators. And it's about mapping who I need to speak to. And if you want to really tackle the issue, then you have to speak to everyone.
We here at the Nobel Peace Center believe that there are too few women, not enough women that have won the Nobel Peace Prize. So we are giving out Peace Prize medals. Unfortunately, they are out of chocolate, but with a big thank you even better.
Chocolate.
With a big thank you to all of you.
Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yes, and a big applause for all of them.
Thank you very much.